And welcome back to the Sports News. My next guest is a flanker and former captain of the Wisconsin Rugby Club, Jake Winkler. Jake, thanks for coming in today.
No problem, man. Good to be here.
Fantastic. So, a little bit about rugby. Not really the most popular sport in the area. I think with some of the things people are familiar with, maybe it's the international sevens that have been on TV down in Las Vegas, I believe. Is that kind of similar to what the Wisconsin Rugby Club does?
Yeah, there are two versions of the game that are played. Sevens for the club teams, which is what we're playing on, is usually reserved for kind of summer. It was mostly like for fun. It wasn't played at a real high level until very recently, but now there's a whole national playoff structure for it, and it all plays through from June until the end of August. Play right through that, but most of us got our start playing the full 15s match, which is the format that has been popular around the world for a long time, and that's what we play year-round. We go regular season in the fall, playoffs in the spring, so it takes up most of the year.
Fantastic. That's a long season.
Not much time off, just the winter.
How many teams are in Madison? How many teams are maybe around the area that lets you guys compete without, having to drive hours on end?
Yeah, so the national structure's got a couple division levels, same as you're familiar with in high school football. So we play D2, which is second from the top. We play teams in Chicago, Minneapolis, and Iowa. We don't have to travel much farther than that for our regular season and branch out, obviously, depending on how far you make it after that. We also have a D4 team that plays just locally in Wisconsin, so they go Green Bay, Oshkosh, Milwaukee, those types of areas. And then the high school teams stick pretty local, same conferences for the most part. Obviously not as many high schools have teams for rugby as they do for other sports, so they have to spread it a little bit, but it still stays pretty local.
So is that maybe a tier down from the teams that we were seeing on in the sevens from Las Vegas?
Las Vegas had both international level play, so you saw a bunch of that. They also had club games that went on starting about Wednesday that week, rolling up until the international started on Friday. So the stuff that was on NBC was just the internationals.
Sure. Okay. Where and when do you guys play? How does the season lay out? Where can people find you?
Right. We got our own fields out in Cottage Grove that's kind of run by an umbrella organization known as Madison United Rugby. So that gets play from the men's and women's club teams, as well as the university teams, both men and women, and the high school teams all get shots to play out there as well. So the senior teams will play there most frequently because that's our home field. The other ones will use it occasionally if they need to. There's a lot of tournaments that get hosted there as well. And so that's out in Cottage Grove. The address for that's on our website.
Yeah, what about spectators? If we wanted to come out and watch, some of the rugby matches, how can spectators get out there and take advantage of that?
Yeah, most of the regular games are just free to show up to, and we welcome spectators. We got a big bleacher section there that's ready for them because we're envisioning that place hosting big tournaments. And then when we do host big tournaments, say like a college Big Ten tournament that's got, a rugby team from every university in the Big Ten, which has happened there before. It's like, then we fill that place up and we'll charge admissions on those ones. But for the most part, it's free to come.
All right, that is Jake Winkler from the Wisconsin Rugby Club. Jake, thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.